Second.
Moving second to open, all in favor? Vote. Approval of the warrants, Greg, you wanna grab them?
Sure. Make a motion, we approve the following warrants. Warrant number 30, in the amount of $54,773.09. Warrant number 31, in the amount of $16,796.81. Warrant number 32, the amount of $386,509.88. Warrant number 33, in the amount of $49,138.27. Warrant number 34, the amount of $16,477.06. And warrant number 36, the amount of $32,183.92.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve warrants 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 36. All in favor? That's a vote. Okay, up next, approval of our minutes. We're gonna have to table the 26th and the 9th, but the 23rd is in there. And let's see, there's three of us here, so I think we can get through this one.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from September 23rd meeting as written.
Second.
Moved and second to approve our council meeting minutes from September 23rd, 2019. All in favor? That's a vote. All right, department head reports. Fuel usage is in there.
I forgot to make the chart that I included, but I won't include that for the next meeting.
And is that the one you will have diesel on it for Public Works? Excellent. Public Works, Jamie, how's things going up there?
Busy.
Is he?
Is that guardrail repair what occasion?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, any questions for Jamie, Public Works? Moving on to the transfer station. Everything good up there? Questions on transfer? Sylvia, how are you?
Good.
Excellent. Busy down there?
Yes, we are.
Oh, good, gonna get the last computer replaced, that's good. Any questions, concerns for the library?
We're gonna talk to Mo about, having the rugs cleaned right off down there, shampoo and stuff.
Oh, fine, yeah, he's gonna do it.
Oh, one thing about the library, I just noticed, remember when I was down the day the door fell apart or whatever it was, fire extinguishers. I know at one time we had a discussion about maybe, I think Jamie at one time, Bohan was gonna do it, but we was just gonna do, I have it so that everywhere in the town was done once a month, so we keep up to date.
Aren't you doing that,
We're
Joe?
supposed to be doing that, Jamie.
Okay. Okay, so if I notice it, I'll just mention it to him, I just didn't know if that had just fallen by the wayside or whatever, so. I'd forgotten all about it.
Probably hasn't done it, but
Okay.
Do you guys have those little tags to initial and?
I have a few of them, yeah.
So, just so that we get caught short if we have an inspection, that's all.
Absolutely. Things like that. Parks and Rec, Mike, how you doing?
Good,
Everything going good?
very well.
Excellent. Anything for Mike? Let's see, Baileyville Fire, John?
Yeah.
Everything going good?
Oh, good. Busy weekend.
We've been bothering the fire department in Baileyville for the last 4 or 5 days on a somewhat regular basis, but I think we got our problem resolved.
Bob, how we doing?
Pretty good.
Top notch, I'm sure. How's things going?
Busy, actually.
Yes, yes, you've been very busy.
Yep. 2 trucks stolen Saturday night, early Sunday morning. One was found at the bottom of the hill where they pushed it out of the driveway and didn't realize it was out of gas when they tried to steal it, so they went up the hill to Richie Corbett's and took his truck, and that was recovered the next morning in the parking lot in Callis. No damage done to that. And Mike called me just a short time ago with 3 things that were missing off one of his trucks at the station up there by the food mart. The truck was found within a block of, well, actually the headlights were pointing on the building that the fellow was in that we consider a good suspect, and we're working that.
So is intelligence anyways.
Yeah. We called the state police evidence recovery technician, 2 of them came out, Mike Perkins and Jason Fowler, and they came down and processed the truck for us to get DNA swabs and those types of things. So. And a certain individual's already been convicted once of another motor vehicle theft.
Well, good, hopefully that works.
We're working on it.
Anything for Bob? Good to go? All right, Oliver Associates. Well, I'm gonna ask this, I may as well ask it right now. Clover.
Yes. We had a long discussion about the seed that they put down. They put down what is, according to spec, what Oliver Associates asked for.
Mhm.
Now, the interesting thing apparently is it's by weight instead of by percentage. And because clover seeds are significantly smaller than grass seeds, when you say you want 15% clover, what you're getting is about 6 times as many seeds as you do grass seed. So, what is gonna happen is, for next year, they're gonna come back with a grass-only mix. It will not include any clover at all. And Oliver Associates says, gee, the clover has always worked, the clover mix has always worked well for us. Well, they're going to change that, and it's gonna be redone.
Get it, okay, so we're on Summit Street, but Broadway already has clover.
Yeah, they're gonna do Broadway again too.
So they're gonna till it up somehow and,
They'll till it up and, or kill it and then come back and hit you with grass. But yeah, that was, something that nobody realized until, the guy from T-Buck actually sat down and went through it. Apparently when you have, say, 15% clover, or whatever the percentage was, have a significantly larger number of clover seeds. And something about the soil there let them germinate really well.
See what it is, gonna get down.
It would've been nice if you had sheep or cattle. That
Or
would've
deer.
been really good.
Deer's got more than tax, man.
yeah, I can't believe we haven't had as many as soon as they find out they'll be.
So, that is where it goes with that.
All right, well, I guess that takes one off my list. All right, nothing under old business. New business, Baileyville Pioneer Broadband Franchise Agreement. We do have a possible motion there. Anything of,
The attorney looked at it, and he said the agreement, broadly speaking, is fine, but it's set up to basically be the same thing as what we have with, Spectrum, or what originally was with Adelphia, and then Time Warner, and now Spectrum. He said, yeah, okay, go ahead, sign it, if you read this, but, he thinks that we could probably have them include that section there, that I've highlighted, and that would, fix it for the future, but he says if you wanna get it in place now, sign the agreement he's giving you and just work with Pioneer to tweak it so that broadband is actually,
well, this is holding up
Yeah.
some of the broadband process, so.
so,
And how much did we get from Time Warner Spectrum.
6,000, but the interesting thing is this contract they also pay us to, which
Yeah.
I hadn't really expected, but that's good too.
But that's how much we received in fees, and that's all based on, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, how many customers we have that are through the cable company.
Yes.
So potentially, you could be losing more fees if people sign up for broadband anyways.
Yes, but if the broadband gets the fees, we recoup that.
Right, but no, I'm just talking about Adelphia or
Correct.
Time Warner Spectrum, so.
Correct.
And quite honestly, to hold this up, if we need to fund $6,000 for a camera, let's just fund the damn thing. So I would recommend us signing this and moving
Today's,
this on.
you and I had talked about it, Chris, about some sort of if we're gonna go with the broadband, we need something to be able to broadcast to the broadband, a converter or a modulator or something.
Well, it sounds to me like the lawyer is saying the language is fine, but moving forward, we should have them
Yeah,
add this in.
that what we'll do, he recommends is just, well, after you sign this, sit down and negotiate something that's more in keeping with broadband itself. The interesting thing is any money that we lose from, Spectrum, we should be picking back up through, Pioneer.
How long is this contract that we're entering into agreement with?
It's, 10-year.
So technically, before any of these changes, we're going to be 10 years.
Well, yeah, this would be the agreement, and you agreed to turn around and renegotiate to the second agreement.
This is the boilerplate.
This is boilerplate, it basically sets us up as every other town in the state of Maine.
And there's no way to just get this fixed real quick.
I could tell the attorney to put it together for tomorrow and see if we can get that approved.
The problem is that we don't have another meeting until when?
The 29th?
Right. And this is legitimately holding up our broadband process.
Well, from reading this, I say, it sounds like we're not losing anything by signing this.
No.
From what I'm reading, from what he says in
Right,
this.
and what the attorney says.
Who's signing this contract?
It actually has the town manager sign it. And then Pioneer sign for Pioneer.
So we could give you the authority or whatever to approve the franchise agreement. If you could fix it the way this guy suggests within the next couple of days, you could do that and sign it. Or if it can't be done, you can just sign the one that you have right now. If we just give him the.
Yeah, so
I
we
mean, if
don't have
he's
to wait
signing
another-
for it.
Yeah, if
Right.
we don't give him
We're-
permission, we don't have to wait for another meeting.
All we're doing is agreement to the franchise agreement and giving Chris permission to sign it if he can get this language that Pittman talks about.
Yeah.
And great, and if not, then
Go
he's
with it.
gotta go with it. I move that the Baileyville Town Council approve the franchise agreement with Pioneer Wireless Incorporated doing business as Pioneer Broadband and give town manager the authority to sign the contract for us. If you get in the next couple of days what this guy kinda suggests, then great. Not, we have him instruct Chris to sign it.
Okay.
You okay with that? I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to, the town council's approve the franchise agreement with Pioneer Wireless Incorporated doing business as Pioneer Broadband, and to have, give authority to town manager Chris Laughlin to sign, if possible, to add the language that the attorneys have talked about. If not, then move forward with signing the original contract. Is that good? All in favor? Let's vote. All right, Chris is gonna give us an update on the sewer project.
November 4th is the date that we're looking at being out here. They will have the paving commence probably within the next week and get everything tidied up for winter. winter. So, again, November 4th is the date they're gonna get out here. It's earlier than they have on the previous years, and next year they'll be coming back to finish what they call the tree streets, and then birch in spring. So, that's what we're looking at right now for that. So paving will be going on, like I said, probably starting next week, and then probably right up until, first couple days in November.
So Maple is gonna be done up to the up to the top of the hill? Okay.
Just the ditch, or just the
Trench.
trench. Alright.
Okay.
They didn't wanna bust open anything else, so that's where they're going on that. So that's where we stand with that. I've ordered the insulated window panels for his building. We've also ordered, some filing cabinets, a desk for me, and a couple chairs that are gonna be arriving next week. We've got new rugs for the building, so, and they're brown, so hide the dirt a little better. And Marilyn's been on the phone getting that stuff in here, and so that's been, kinda nice. County budget meeting today, Billy Howard was very happy with the budget so far, which has been pretty good, but the one thing that we discussed quite in depth was the proposed, state police coverage. I don't know if any of you've, been watching the news or reading the paper. What the state is proposing on doing is that they will, instead of covering each of the areas in the county 1/3 of the time, what they're proposing that they cover one area in the county, that the sheriff's department covers the other 2 areas, and that if you're outside that area, the sheriff's department does everything, the state police would never be seen. This area is one of those areas where state police would never be seen. And what they're proposing is that they would do the zone closest to Hancock County, Steuben, Harrington, Cherryfield, that area over there, and that they would not come this way at all. Which is not exactly what you would like to see. And, I don't know if it was Chris Gardner or someone else, but I think Chris Gardner was involved, and he said, fine. Then maybe we need to just stop doing law enforcement. And the gentleman who was in charge of the, law enforcement for the state now is the, former Portland police chief. And he says, you have to, and now sheriff's departments have to do 2 things: serve summonses and court papers, and run a jail. Those are the only 2 things that a sheriff's department has to do in the state of Maine. And that was, I guess, an eye-opening experience for him. But I guess the colonel with the state police, was well aware that that could be a possibility. So, what I guess the counter proposal is, rather than the state police just abandon 2/3 of this county and half of Hancock County, that, they turn around and make it so that things like domestic abuse, homicides, anything, heavily related like that would be state police, and they'd still do traffic, and then anything that fell outside that bailiwick would be basically the sheriff's responsibility. I don't know, I see it as the state police doing this in a way to try to get a better handle on what it is they're able to do, because there haven't been, other than some positions like the computer crimes and the sex crimes and things like that, there have not been any more road officers put on in this state since the 1970s, if I'm not mistaken. So.
What do you mean it hasn't, I mean, they
Number-
graduated class.
Yeah, but the number of officers
It hasn't
on,
increased.
Hasn't increased.
hasn't increased
Okay.
since the 1970s.
And none of the troops are full complement now.
Right. But going back to this major crime type, I don't feel that's a good proposal, because if somebody gets murdered, obviously, whatever law enforcement's the closest.
They would secure the scene, but it's still gonna be the
Still
state.
state.
Okay, so they're still secure, then the state police will
Yeah.
take over the investigation, okay.
Right, there's a homicide in the state of Maine, that happens in, Portland, Bangor. Those are the only two agencies in the state, other than the state police, that can work a homicide scene. If it happened anywhere in the county, the state police would have to come out for it. I've said for years that the state police should go back to what they're good at, which is traffic enforcement and major crimes. Leave the rest to the county. Those deputies can do that. They just put 3 more on, as we know, because our taxes went up. I think this is a measurement test to see what department blinks first. It's about funding is what it comes down to. But it won't affect us here in Baileyville or Bering, because they don't cover us anyway.
Right,
If we need backup, they're coming.
but it will affect your taxes if,
Absolutely.
and what is the sheriff's budget proposing this year?
They're proposing no increase.
No increase?
No increase for officers, there's an increase. We haven't yet heard the sheriff's budget yet. That'll be next meeting, the 22nd.
But you have the insight on it?
Right. But I will say that, they came and said, well, we wanna have a discussion with the counties. And the county's response was, no, this isn't a discussion. You're basically telling us what you're gonna do, and we're left to pick up everything else. And I think when they found out that if the counties wanted to play hardball, the counties could just have no law enforcement arm at all, and then the state police would be obliged to come and cover everything. So, there is some leverage at the county level versus the state. And, the state has always said, we can do it better. Well, they came in and they screwed up the jails. And then this is another,
But I think
Right.
Bob's right when he says it's a bluff game, because there's no way that the taxpayers and voters would ever let the sheriff's department go defunct to prove a point to the state police, so.
And vice versa.
Right.
the other thing that became readily apparent at the meeting today was the DA's office having a tough time filling slots for DAs. Callis doesn't have one at the time. I guess he's heading towards Montana at twice what he's making here. So they're gonna try to get a part-timer for Callis. But without those assistant DAs, that means there are fewer cases being prosecuted.
Not being prosecuted now.
And what's gonna happen now is that they're gonna try to do more plea deals, I would guess. They've been trying to find new attorneys, but, and they've been advertising quite heavily, including the Bangor Daily, which is not usual for that, and they've had no inquiries at all. But then again, a starting assistant DA in Washington County makes $57,000 a year. That's his salary, and that is not much for someone who has to pay back law school bills and college bills. So, don't expect that to change anytime soon. Other than that, the county budget's looking pretty good.
There. Is that all you have?
Let's see. And I think there was, well, there was something else, but I'll try to remember what it was. It's just minor. Yeah.
All right. All right, we'll move on to public comments. Bob?
We discussed load-bearing vests for the officers a few months back. There'll be new uniforms to go with that as well, because they'll be covered up with a vest. There's no need to spend $86 on a shirt like this anymore. It'll be a polo shirt that we'll have underneath that in the summer, it'll be a sweater that we wear in the wintertime, because you don't wear a coat with it. And pants, we're gonna go a different way with pants, but pants are $126, like I said, the shirts are $86, and so $200 per uniform, we're gonna get that down around 60. So just,
Fair.
I can't spend this kind of money anymore on uniforms. We had the turkey-a-thon with the help of the high school student council. We raised just over $3,000 here in town on Friday, which was $600 more than last year. And the total turkey-thon was $32,700 and some dollars, so that went up for the whole county, so that was
That's great.
good work.
Very
That's
good.
it, thank
All
you.
right, thanks.
Do you think your officers could wear their ascots? Those fancy.
No. Next.
Wow. Well, didn't you guys have hats there one time?
We still have hats. Just don't wear them.
But you need it.
Yeah.
Jamie.
Special occasions.
Nothing? Marilyn? Nothing? Sylvia?
No.
John? Mike? All set? All right, we'll move on to council closing comments. Craig?
Kyle brought something up to me, when they get ready to do his street, which obviously is gonna be next year, and that's a one-way off from there, it's gonna block all the way all around, however far they go. He was asking about the road, I don't know this road, it comes out over behind the car wash, I guess, it's an old road through the woods. Comes out by McGaw's, and comes out down by Brent Alley somewhere. He was wondering how, he says he can take photos of there, he was wondering if it could be like used during that as a road. And my only response is, well, obviously, we're not going to dump a bunch of money into a very, very temporary road. We're not gonna maintain the road, but, my opinion. But I don't, anyway, he wanted me to bring it up. I don't know anything about this place. Is it?
Well, I know a lot about it.
Is it still a road that the town owns, or is it private property on it, or?
It is, it's a paper street, is what it is. It was Vince Tamro's wish to have this for the purpose of emergency vehicles. It was gonna be two, one down that went through, to come out on Route 1 by,
By
the
John's.
trail by John's, and the one that comes out onto the heights. Obviously, he failed at that. So I think it's a good idea, I think something that probably needs to be looked at. In that particular case, the street Broadway and Summit was bad enough being blocked off. But up there, you're really gonna be blocked off, so it is something to look at. Now, I would say Vince would roll over in his grave if he knew we were approving this and have a road there, so, but.
Well, luckily, we've got a long time, and that won't be started until next year.
Didn't that one?
It's
use
probably only, what, 75 feet, 100 feet maybe?
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
probably 100 feet
You
at the
can
most.
literally, if you go there in the fall, you can look right over and see
If you go down the end of that beautiful
Never
drive,
up
you
there.
can see McGaw's house.
I asked
right
him
there.
if it was, how far is it, is it a quarter mile, half mile, I didn't think it'd be that far, but, oh, anyway, he wanted it brought up,
Comes out
so.
on Birch?
Yeah.
Birch, right,
Right,
yes.
yeah. Right by McGraw's garage, yeah.
Yeah.
He may have
But they are just doing sewer, so they're only replacing one pipe up on that street.
Oh, okay.
There's no water work being done at all, so they don't have to dig up the whole
So
road.
one
like
side
some-
of it's gonna be open
And
at
it should
all
be the
times.
opposite side as,
Would be
It's Carl's.
interesting to see if, I know that people on Birch would probably not appreciate the huge volume of traffic. I'd love to see that a permanent road.
For all six
Well.
people that live on Birch.
We
For all
don't-
6 people that live on Birch.
Yeah.
Birch is the one right
Well, the
behind the car
road's
wash, right?
already been
To,
approved, it's
Spring
just
Street.
hasn't been.
So this
But
road
the
is
other-
up, the next one up.
Where Lanigan used to live on that street.
Right. Anyway, there's something that could be talked about down the road, since this is all next year,
Right.
but we don't wanna put a bunch of time, effort into it if we don't really need to, obviously, for this construction job.
I suspect they'll be there. Well, they're gonna be doing Birch this spring. And part of South Princeton, and then the rest of the loop.
Maybe easy for them, just to cut right through the woods and.
and ironically, they say we'll build a road and then they'll be working on both streets at the same time anyway, so it'll be.
They can use their equipment. That sounds a lot better. Okay, that's all I got.
That's all you got. Steve?
When are we putting the road in down to the commercial
Actually,
part?
I have an email I will forward to you tomorrow. You should be getting attorney paperwork regarding that. I don't know all what it's gonna detail for the Route 9 access. So I'll, get that to you. Then from that point, then we've gotta figure out how to fund it. Anything else? All right, I've just got a couple of things here. No, more than a couple, I guess. All right, Where are we on our maintenance ordinance? I know we were supposed to be going to the next phase of this, and again, a season is coming, a season is gone, and we're not at the next phase.
No, I will get in here.
And, you know, I've got a question for Mike. The Main Street courts obviously have puddles on them, and I'm assuming that's the way it's going to be, Do they make anything like, and I'm gonna use a lack of a better word, a squeegee, that you could use to get that off in there?
With the water?
The standing water?
Yeah,
How expensive are they?
I've already got a couple.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Now, here's the $1,000,000 question. Is it something that could be left there that whoever's using it, or is it too expensive, or would end up
It
amongst the
would
missing?
not last 24 hours.
Okay.
A push broom would do the same thing down there.
We had, we tried it with the pickleball people. We left, it was empty, an outdoor storage bin.
Yeah.
Less than 24 hours, it was demolished.
And
And it was
Now-
locked.
Now, we are having cameras on this now, right?
We're gonna be. Right now, I put up the signs, it says camera news.
Okay.
While you're on that, I got 3 videos this weekend from David, Holmes about the lights on at times past when they should be on. So do you know how to program those so they can't be
No,
turned
I'd
off?
have to talk to
Apparently
Sharon.
Sheridan, when he put it on, didn't put a, limit switch, so that's what he's working on getting done, and I had talked to David on Friday and said, listen, you know, it's gonna be at least next week till Sheridan can get that. Because when he put in for the 2-hour switch, unlike Riverside, he didn't put in one that stopped at 10 no matter what, so.
Yeah, 'cause I got a video at 2 o'clock in the morning, 'cause he was awake, I guess he figured I should be awake too.
Yeah.
So that's work in progress.
That's
Yeah.
working.
And the litter down there, it's ridiculous.
Right, but where are we on the camera portion of this so that you can find out which
That
munchkins are leaving
I-
garbage there?
I'm not
And
doing
is there garbage cans there?
Yes, I could show you a picture.
Well, no, I'm just, you know, I'm not.
2 of them.
Mr. Fielding hasn't gotten back to me yet.
No. There's always what's the other one that's in the county here?
Black Bear?
Black Bear.
So if somebody wants to use a squeegee, how do they go about getting it? Cause I noticed at pickleball the other night, they can only use 1 quart, cause it was too wet.
Yeah, they do have a squeegee, I gave it to them. They use a squeegee and they use snow blowers and things like that, not snow blowers, but, leaf blowers.
But could you use a push broom with a softer bristle that
Yes.
wouldn't,
Yes.
you know, necessarily, I know a tough one would probably be straight.
The way the weather's been,
Well, it's
I'd be
under
down there
that.
every day.
Right, but I just think it's something, if we can get in the habit of doing, not necessarily you, but, I mean, you've got employees and other ones that, you know, I just think it's something we should take care of. I don't know, I noticed Callis has the same problem,
Mhm.
and it pools water now. I don't know enough about paving, but obviously.
In the
it
summer,
wasn't-
it burns off quick,
Right.
super quick, I mean.
But in the fall time, in the spring, it's not going
Right.
to. So, all right, now.
We found your son a part-time job.
Sweet squeegee.
Yep. Where are we on the pavement going around the rest of the fence?
Noah's gotta get back to me on that too. I'm trying to hopefully get that done
Because,
next week.
right, because we're gonna be closing up on this sooner than later. The other thing, I would like to see us name our parks and courts. And the reason why, where they put the light switch on there is a perfect place to put a sign. And maybe we could come up with some names, what we'd like to see, the Spendick Field and the Main Street courts. Maybe they're just simple names, I don't know, but I think it would look nice if we named them like the Tamro Field and the Glidden Field.
Can we ask for public input somehow
Absolutely.
and?
Maybe
Get a
Mike,
bunch
you
of
could,
names.
put it on the crawl line or something, or come up with some names, what you think would be good for those facilities?
Okay.
Cause they do, I mean, we're slowly but surely making the face of the town different. So I mean, I just think it would look nice.
Yeah.
Answered the Clover, all right. The buildings out here,
Yes.
when are they gonna paint those? Obviously before snow or next spring?
I will get hold of him because they've been doing a lot of work to the buildings the last couple of weeks.
Yes, they are. All right. And Jamie, sidewalks, where are we on those?
So, B&B showed up, did our paving, left, come back, did the aprons, did a piece of Palm Street that I rebuilt 3 times, waiting for them to show up, and half a day in, they left again. Roger Picard called me a few weeks ago and said they're not coming back. 3 days later, he called and said, they'll come back for more money, and obviously you can imagine what my response to him was, so I don't expect them back. So now I am, pleading with Northeast Paving to see if I can get them to finish paving our 1,985 feet of sidewalk and walkway that is not done yet. And I'm still kind of left up in the air whether they're gonna find time to do that and what the price might be. But all the calls were made, all the pleads have been made. Nobody hates it worse than I do. Like I said, we rebuilt Palm Street 3 times and finally put sandbags out there, waiting for those idiots to show up. Roger Picard is done. He doesn't wanna deal with them anymore, he doesn't wanna deal with any of them anymore. So this was our last year probably of doing groups together, towns together, so as long as I'm here, probably B&B will never be here. And we'll just have to deal with it. I'm not against trying to do, you know, I was gonna kind of just, we were gonna do some sidewalk work, but it would look like this. You gotta know where if you don't have the equipment to do it right, there's a big difference with dumping it in wheelbarrows and trying to put it in place and not get the lows and highs and.
Right. Having the right equipment and stuff.
But it hasn't gone without me trying. Every company I've dealt with this year, I could probably name a dozen of them that, the guardrail people, the cemetery fencing, the grinding, the paving, I could go on. Everybody I've dealt with this year, I've had my wallet open and it's taken 4, 5, 6 months to get anything done. I've never seen anything like it this year. Apparently everybody's got too much money.
Who was it that Northeast said might do it as a subcontractor?
They're a subcontractor. You know, and he did say it might be appealing to them where they're in the area anyways. I think it's gonna be the same guys that are gonna help or be involved with getting our streets done.
Mhm.
And I don't think he dares to commit to me. He literally said it would be in November if they could do it. So that tells me it's gonna be the same guys whenever they get done with the T-buck work, if they've got time, the weather still holds, that.
Right.
It's been painful. We literally have done the sidewalks, we've flattened them out a few times, we went around, when they showed up to do the aprons, we went around and picked all the grass out of our sidewalks to make sure they were ready, and then they still blew out of town half a day in. They left, all the aprons ground down for 3.5 months, so all I got is complaints constantly, and with no answers to give them, cause I didn't know when they were coming back. That's my short answer.
No, it's not just us. Callis did the same thing.
Is there any of the other smaller companies that could do that work?
I'm just trying to keep it cost efficient.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, I'm just saying like the smaller, I can't think what's the one that usually blows into town for free.
Cameron?
Yeah, and what's the other one, Williams?
I have to look. I think you're right.
I think it's something
Yeah.
Williams, but
Yeah.
cause I know he gave, Tamrose a quote on doing their parking lot, so he obviously has enough equipment to
Right.
do.
Right.
I just don't, again, know the cost and if it's feasible for them to be up here. The only other thing, Jamie, and this is going to be for you and for the town manager, we're still getting plenty of trucks down the avenues. And Eddie Trelawney stopped me, and at Walmart, they have these signs that it kinda looks like a truck with the slash through it, do not enter type thing. I would like to see us do that on a bigger scale and not put them on Route 1, but put them on our avenue when we turn. So that's when they see that, boom.
And I think they need to be on both sides of the road.
Whichever, I mean, I agree, I mean, but facing, not so they're running along with Route 1.
Right.
Because I know you get stuck with the DOT and what you can and can't do, but I think if you, next time you're in Cal's, if you could just take a buzz through, and I'm just not saying that's the sign to pick up, but the concept, I think, would work.
That's what well, I've looked at them through white sign, and they, unfortunately, they're only about like this. But you need to have
Yeah.
36 by 36.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta go to someone that can design, you know, and maybe
I'm
it's.
sure white could upscale it.
Right, or I'm sure there's people that make signs.
But you'd have, you need to do it on all 5 avenues
Mhm.
here, you need to do it on, well, Main Street, we can do it, and the worst state can do is tell us to put it down, and then coming this way from the access road, do it there too.
Yeah.
Well, it's tricky, because I mean, you gotta let trucks get, I mean, you know, you're gonna have Tamrose trucks running constantly down Main Street, you've got the ones that, all the ones that have to service Mainway. It's hard to differentiate the ones that, you know, that can and can't come. I mean, somebody needs, this has been going on for way too long, somebody needs to go to the mill and say, listen, we've been thinking around for 2 years, you guys need to buy some signs, contact MDOT and get it done. I mean, this is crazy.
The
This is,
mill will pay for whatever we tell them to.
we shouldn't even have to be involved other than say, listen, you need to stop the traffic from coming. I mean,
We fish 2 or 3 big trucks off Main Street almost daily.
John gets 5 or 6 every day.
Yeah.
almost every time I come down an avenue, I end up flicking my lights on, getting out of the truck and trying to speak to these guys about, it's down that way. I put signs up that the mill supplied us before, that's about the size of this piece of paper.
Right,
I
they
mean,
gotta be
literally,
good size
a
signs.
sign that's, a big one that says a mile ahead or 2 miles ahead, or, you know, it's gonna be,
But I like the avenue signs, to be honest with you, and I think common sense prevails there. I mean, the delivery trucks, the Coca-Cola trucks, you know,
Is there something that we can give the mill that shows, you know, so that they can give it to whoever is coming along,
The
or
mill
some
will-
electronic thing or something? or
Only
is it-
one-time drivers, a lot of them don't speak English very well.
Right, no, but I mean,
If they change the address on their invoices and
That's
their
what
shipping
they're trying to
address,
do.
because that's what they plug in the GPS, and that's what tells them to come down the avenue.
Right. And that's what the mill is attempting to do, is get everything changed to the access road as far as the address for the mill. The problem you have isn't, and I mean, you don't have the problem with logging trucks, cause they're coming in and out, or any truckers who's been here more than once. But it's that guy who picks up a load in, you know, Scranton, Pennsylvania, it's a one-shot deal, he comes up here, pops it in his GPS and he's here.
Right,
If they
but
would
they
put
must
the
have-
access route,
Hmm?
if they put the scale shack as the address on that access road, they get down that road. I mean, if you put it at whatever it is, Main Street, they're coming down Main
can I
Street.
make a suggestion? That maybe you and you go down and meet with their,
We did that, they came here.
logistics.
They came here,
Yeah, but who was it? Who-
Scott Beal, the new logistics guy.
yeah.
I mean, I don't understand how hard it would be to change an address.
No, and, well, that's what they've been working on. The other thing that I think we need to, this sounds terrible, but,
want me to say it?
you might have a different idea than I have, but, the guys who are delivering to, you know, the Main Street Irving, or to the electrical supply, or any of that, you know, we ignore it. Even if it says no trucks, we ignore it, and that's just the way it is. But that guy who's delivering to the mill, no, we don't wanna ignore him, you know, and as he comes up, and that's the thing, the local guy knows that, okay, the signs say, no, I can't come through here, but this is where I normally come.
Put no through trucks to the mill, whatever, I don't, you know, force the Portland Air Freight to go up the truck route. I don't really care how, if the
But,
Portland Air Freight uses Second Avenue exclusively to go to the mill. Let Portland Air Freight start using the truck route like the rest of them.
but those truckers must get something to tell them where they have to go. It can just be an attachment or something.
It's the
It
shipping.
shows-
It's the
shows-
shipping label.
But it shows exactly in addition to whatever, the shipping label, this just shows them, don't take this one, don't take this one, don't, you know, red,
I don't
green.
find that happening.
The problem is that their administration building, the corporate office is on 144 Main Street.
That's the address they
And
plug in.
that's the address they put in.
For instance, the last two that I stopped, there was parked at the corner of the credit union.
Yep.
And I finally got out of the truck, cause there was two trucks back to back, and they had no clue where they were. They're looking at the smoke coming out of the stack, and they headed straight ahead.
Right.
I had to go down he spoke just enough English for me to hand signal, go that way.
I
And
do
it
like
was
the-
interesting.
I do like the idea that, of the scale shack, because that pulls them off of Main Street, so you're not gonna get a guy just making the straight shot down Main Street.
I thought that, I knew there was a meeting here, and I thought that it was pretty clear that we wanted this to be taking
And
place.
there-
The mill was gonna take care of it, what, 8 months ago?
Well, Timmy, I think you said a year and a half ago, it should take them 5 minutes to fix it on Google, and
Mhm.
I mean,
And then, and that's the thing, is they get it fixed on Google, and then it'll go right back.
what do you mean?
That someone at Google has reinserted it at some point down the road. They've had that happen at least twice, not only Google, but, who's it? TomTom?
TomTom, Waze.
Yeah. I had a similar problem in Denmark, because they kept sending all these campers, you know, 200 campers would show up, girl campers would show up to this lady's house in the middle of nowhere, because somehow they got it in their head that that was the address of the camp.
Well, we need to address it somehow.
Let me get the signs. I've been, yeah,
How would you post those, Jamie, so that they don't
Well, the
already
problem
make
is,
the
you
turn?
gotta get them so they can see them before they make the turn.
Right, right,
But
right.
you gotta get them so they're not blocking the visibility of people coming out of the avenues,
Right.
especially the plow trucks, because
Right.
that's just two more signs in the way that you can't see something.
Right, that's
Either
why
way.
placement and
See-
size is gonna be key.
size, placement, and
Yeah,
something.
like
that-
Fourth Avenue would almost be impossible unless you put it almost on the stop sign because of that, because of the yard rate there for the
Right.
tennis courts, it makes it a little bit tricky, but.
Now, I will say they don't use Fourth Avenue much.
No, it pretty much is Second Avenue.
Yeah, Second.
Second, third, yeah, yeah.
And Main Street.
Still seems to me though that the solution lies across the road.
Yep.
Somebody over there needs to remove their head from some area and fix it. They have the capabilities by
Well,
just
that-
changing the address from 144 Main Street.
That's what the logistics guy was all about when they came and met with us.
Yep.
But that, you know, change that address and you solve half your problem.
I don't mind going down there tomorrow and looking him up and see if we can change it to the truck route.
But the problem is when you Google Woodland Pulp, it's gonna say 144 Main Street.
That's why the
And no one's
headquarters
gonna look and say, oh, well, I'm actually delivering something. They just wanna see St. Croix tissue, 140, not 222 Main Street. So could we change Woodland Pulp to 222 Main Street? The whole thing?
I'll ask.
No, that's, I think that what they were looking at, like changing it to the gate. Whereas, the one thing I do like about the scale shed is that it pushes it up
Right, I mean, like,
away from Main Street so that the access road is the most convenient place.
right,
to
well,
get it.
but could you make the scale house and Woodland Pulp, the whole address 222 Main Street? Cause right now it's 144.
But if they just add that to their paperwork down there, we can set up a chicken coop and call it 222 Main Street. Wouldn't matter, but it's just getting them to change the address down there, on their bill of ladings and shipping address and things like that.
Cause they've
Seems
been
to me
coming,
that-
you know, they've been coming down these avenues with the roads closed on
Mhm.
Summit Street, and it's just been a nightmare, these trucks backing up. And so next thing you know, you drive by and they're driving down Broadway all the way to Palm Street because they don't know where to go, and, you know, we're tearing up curbing and people's lawns, and we just don't want that type of weight on our roads anyways.
And regardless, it's not, the truck itself is too heavy for the roads, you know, I know the weight, once they're loaded, it still isn't that much weight in those tissues, but we just don't need it on the roads. But, I don't know, maybe
That's
talk
something
to this guy
Chris and I can work out.
and see if, you know, where they are on it, cause it's gotta be a pain for their security people too. I mean, they're constantly buzzing and having to stop, and like you said, get out, come this way, and,
I could make some signs up ourselves with my guys that just look so bad that the mill will wanna buy new ones that replace the ones that I put up.
The one thing I found, the more professional a sign is, the less likely someone is to read it.
Well, I can make it unprofessional.
Well, that's why these ones, if you go to Callis, just take note that they're simple. They're not, you know, not a bunch of literature to read, just don't go in there, period. So, that's all I have, I think. Yes, that's it. All right, so, good to go?
Motion to
Adjournment?
adjourn.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor? Vote.